Uncertainty still clings to your thoughts like mist at first light. Have you noticed how some mornings feel weighty before a single bird song? In the hush between night's retreat and dawn's first glow, the horizon blushes and you sense a divine cover stretching wider than the sky, drawing you beneath its gentle feathers. The Almighty, steadfast and near, offers shelter more enduring than stone, promising trust in place of trembling. Here, you are invited to lay aside yesterday's burden, surrender today's plans, and attune your ears to His guiding footsteps. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. Per Psalm 91:4, this verse paints the soft armor surrounding you, steadying courage while dawn unwraps the dark. Which worry will you slide beneath His shield? And what hope do you dare to rest in His care? Let gratitude rise with every breath. Now, as your heart grows still, we step into the first promise of day. You rise while dew still jewels the quiet grass, and the pale east glimmers like a promise not yet spoken. In that hush you sense wings arching above you. No rustle, yet the unmistakable pressure of a holy canopy spanning horizon to horizon. The world might label you exposed, unfinished, but truth counters the accusation die. You awaken under shelter older than mountains. Breathe out the tension coiled in your shoulders. Recall the countless times disaster brushed close, yet never claimed you. Each memory is a stone in the altar of dawn, testifying that hidden help has always been at hand. Your pulse begins to sync with a larger heartbeat. Every inhale feels like invitation, every exhale surrender. Where anxiety once spiraled, assurance now settles like warm light across your skin. You discover that refuge is not escape, it is empowerment. From this concealed stronghold, you move unafraid, learning that dependence is wisdom, not weakness. Children flourish near a parent's embrace, and souls thrive beneath their Creator's wings. Your inner posture straightens, not from pride but from being held. I will take refuge in the shadow of your wings until the disaster has passed. To Psalm 57:1. Ancient lyrics speak in present tense, reminding you that safety is a relationship, alive, attentive, unshakable. Standing within that relationship, you let accusations drift away on the brightening breeze. Regret loses its sting when exposed to dawn. Even lingering nightmares dissolve, because the one who covers you also rewrites the narrative of your past. You are not the sum of mistakes. You are the beloved recipient of new mercies, handcrafted for this sunrise. Swallows cut silver arcs through the widening sky. They neither engineer the breeze nor manufacture a single seed, yet they sing as if provision were guaranteed. Their chorus becomes your tutorial in trust. If wings so slight ride unseen thermals, how much more will your life be buoyed by everlasting arms? The thought plants courage where caution once rooted, and hope begins to bloom. With courage comes clarity. Today holds assignments, conversations to mend, work to steward, wonders to notice. Each task is already accounted for in heaven's ledger, paired with resources waiting to be released. Your role is beautifully simple: step forward. Stay aware, answer every moment with kindness, and return often to the shelter overhead. When fatigue whispers, close your eyes for one slow breath and picture that sweeping span again. The image is not wishful thinking, but your truest mapping of reality. As the first full shaft of sunlight clears the trees, you cross the threshold of your doorway. The covering does not remain behind. It travels with you like an invisible banner, announcing to every worry that you are kept. Walk on, head lifted, heart anchored, mission clear. Live loved, give grace, risk goodness. Nothing about your outer circumstances may have shifted, yet everything within you tilts toward hope. You are awake, you are covered, and you are ready. Thunder once signaled panic, but now you meet the low rumble with a practiced calm, knowing a vast awning of invisible plumage stretches above you. Raindrops begin to tap against the roof like urgent fingers, yet not a single bead breaches the softness that surrounds your soul. Earlier worries rise like startled birds, fluttering, noisy, aimless, until they drift back under the gentle span that holds them still. Each feather, delicate to the eye, conceals a quill strong enough to part gale winds. You remember how seasons of grief tried to unmoor you. The storm's voice spoke of endings. Instead, you found beginnings hidden in the hush beneath those wings, discovering that anguish redirected can carve channels for mercy. Breathe in the scent of rain-washed earth, that clean fragrance signaling renewal rather than ruin. Anxiety often paints disaster in sharp colors, yet sheltered vision reveals opportunity sketched behind every cloud bank. You watch lightning slice the horizon, jagged, dazzling, and realize illumination often arrives wrapped in noise. While the world shields its eyes, you keep yours open, tracing how each flash outlines the landscape of grace. Between bursts, silence settles, thicker than wool, and in it you hear a whisper steadying your pulse. You are kept, you are known, you are guided. The words embed themselves like seeds, ready to sprout resilience long after the downpour fades. Let me dwell in your tent forever. Let me take refuge in the shelter of your wings. Psalm 61:4. The songwriter's plea becomes your anthem, teaching you that permanent residence is found not in walls but in presence. Under this sanctuary, fear loses its coordinates. Worry cannot track you when you live in motion yet remain hidden. Your decisions pivot on guidance rather than guesswork. Tasks that felt heavy begin to lighten. Emails, deadlines, difficult conversations, each approached from the vantage point of safety instead of scarcity. Even conflict transforms. You reply with gentleness that confounds aggression, because you converse from a place beyond reach of harm's talons. Inner storms still swirl, but you let them pass overhead, confident they lack permission to pierce the covering. Observe the small sparrow perched beneath an eave, feathers fluffed against the chill. It sings while rain drums around it, unaware of grandeur yet secure inside it. So you, too, may appear ordinary, another commuter, student, parent, friend, yet you occupy royal space. When colleagues wonder at your steadiness, let your humility point upward. All strength flows from the one who shadows me. Hiddenness need not mean invisibility. It can mean influence carried quietly, like pollen on a breeze, fertilizing hope in others. As clouds thin and shafts of light spear through, you step forward onto glistening ground. Every droplet mirrors the sky, proof that what descended now reflects glory. You feel lighter, not because challenges dissolved, but because their weight has been redistributed onto everlasting shoulders. Gratitude swells, a warm current running deeper than any chill the storm left behind. You walk on, cloak of feathers intact, purpose refreshed, heart tuned to the next note of the day's unfolding song. Morning widens, flushing peach and rose across the horizon, and you feel something inside you unclench as surely as a blossom sensing warmth. The long night's questions. Will provision come? Will the path stay sure? Still echo, yet light now pours between their syllables, thinning their power. You step outside soul's meeting damp earth and realize that trust is less a rigid stance than a breathing rhythm. Inhale promise, exhale control. Each bird launching from its perch illustrates the lesson. It commits to sky before calculating the wind, convinced lift awaits. You, too, are invited into that fearless calculation, standing on faith's edge and choosing to lean forward. Trust is not naivete, it is informed courage. You recall past dawns when fear seemed logical, yet unseen hands rearranged outcomes for your good. The memory files are countless. The unexpected provision that erased debt, the conversation that healed a rift, the detour that became destiny. These stories form a mosaic beneath your feet, evidence strong enough to carry today's weight. Pausing, you trace one memory like a finger over glass, grateful that the artist wastes nothing. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight. Proverbs 3:5-6. The ancient counsel sings over you, urging full-bodied reliance, promising alignment beyond your calculations. With that melody planted, you examine your schedule. Meetings, tasks, caregiving, study, creative work, all line up like travelers awaiting a train. Instead of gripping each responsibility, you hold them loosely, asking which belong and which may be postponed. Trust grants permission to edit the day in cooperation with divine timing. You notice how some obligations shrink when viewed through this lens, others expand, glowing with new priority. A phone call to encourage a friend suddenly seems as strategic as any project milestone, because heaven measures impact differently than spreadsheets. Even setbacks rendezvous with trust. Should a plan derail, you recall the compass hidden inside surrender. Rather than panic, you pivot, asking, what redirection might serve a larger purpose? You picture a river meeting rock, splitting, and continuing. Unstopped, merely rerouted. That vision whispers resilience into your choices, reminding you that fluid obedience outperforms rigid self-reliance. Wind lifts your hair, scented with jasmine from a nearby hedge. Fragile petals cling to slender stems, yet they ride the breeze without tearing, strength disguised as fragrance. You carry that image forward, gentle, resilient, willing to sway. Trust does not erase personality, it refines it, sanding bitterness, polishing patience. Moments that once sparked irritation become invitations to practice calm, like a musician rehearsing scales until muscle memory births effortless song. As the sun clears the treetops, shadows shorten and the landscape sharpens into possibility. You set out, calves engaging on the uphill lane, blood warming with purpose. Every footfall synchronizes with an inner refrain: I am guided, I am upheld, I will not fear. The rhythm fuels stamina deeper than caffeine, and you sense invisible pathways straightening ahead, as promised. You do not require a full map, only the next clue, delivered on time. That suffices, for dawn of trust has taught you the luxury of depending on a guide who sees the summit even while you navigate the switchbacks. By the time you reach the first crossroads of the day, decision feels lighter. You check your spirit rather than a dozen what ifs, and peace nods yes. Stepping forward, you realize trust is not merely the theme of a morning, it is the engine of a life, humming beneath every conversation, every risk, every act of kindness. And as long as that engine runs, you will travel farther than fear ever allowed. You notice the day's tempo accelerating. Traffic hums, notifications blink, demands queue up like restless travelers. Yet beneath the noise runs a quieter cadence, inviting you to match your stride to a divine pace. One deliberate breath anchors you, and you picture a narrow trail winding through pine and fern, its twists obscured by morning mist. A gentle nudge within urges a first step, reassuring you that guidance often feels less like a shout and more like the soft tug of a parent leading a child across a busy street. You recall moments when choices loomed large: career crossroads, relationship rifts, unfamiliar cities. Each time, a still voice whispered through confusion, steering you toward peace rather than easy approval. Those memories prove that direction is not earned, it's gifted. Trusting that gift, you tune your inner ear to present hints, an idea sparking during prayer, a phrase in a song echoing later, a scripture surfacing at precisely the right second. Threads of leading weave a tapestry invisible to hurried eyes, yet unmistakable once noticed. Your word is a lamp for my feet, a light on my path. Psalm 119:105. Ancient truth clarifies that illumination arrives incrementally, enough for the next step, sufficient to prevent missteps. As you move, you practice holy attentiveness. When a coworker's tone phrase, you resist quick rebuttal, pausing instead to ask silently, what does compassion look like here? Guidance translates into a calm answer that cools tension and opens dialogue. Later, errands threaten to sprawl into every free minute. Yet promptings guide you to postpone one task, freeing space to phone a friend whose laugh has faded lately. That conversation sparks renewed hope on both ends, an outcome no planner could predict, yet providence foresaw. Training your senses, you realize guidance also manifests through redirection. An unexpected delay on the commute nudges you onto a side street where you glimpse an elderly neighbor struggling with groceries. Pausing to assist becomes a small yet sacred detour. Such occurrences teach that obstacles can function as escorts to hidden appointments. Instead of chafing, you begin to bless interruptions, viewing them as signposts rather than hindrances. Creation echoes this wisdom. Observe migrating geese tracing shifting V formations overhead. They adjust constantly, drafting off collective strength, alternating leadership to conserve stamina. Your journey mirrors theirs. Sometimes you lead projects. Other times you draft behind another's expertise, both roles essential. Embracing that rhythm prevents burnout and fosters teamwork rooted in humility. Guidance extends beyond immediate tasks. It shapes character. Each time you heed the inner compass, integrity gains muscle memory. Obedience becomes reflex rather than wrestle. Gradually, over months and years, a trail of consistent yeses forms a legacy more eloquent than titles or trophies. Those who walk alongside you sense the steady current and, even without knowing its source, feel calmer in your wake. Quiet influence radiates farther than loud persuasion ever could. As afternoon sun slants gold, you look back along the hours and trace subtle footprints of grace, the avoided frustration, the timely encouragement. the preserved margin, the redirected errand. Gratitude wells up, confirming that no moment was random, each woven into a choreography devised before dawn. You step into the evening with shoulders relaxed, confident tomorrow will unfurl under the same faithful choreography. Sun climbs to its zenith, glare sharp, air thick, and the pace of life hits full stride. Traffic snarls, inboxes bloat, and deadlines cluster like insects around a lantern. Noon can feel like exposure. Shadows shrink, leaving little place to hide. But beneath the unseen wings you learned at dawn, bravery blooms even under blistering light. You square your shoulders, sensing strength flowing from a deeper reservoir than caffeine or sheer will. Heat may press, yet inner springs remain cool. Midday tests resolve meetings, challenge your insight. News headlines jolt your peace. A loved one's terse message stings. Reflex might tempt you toward retreat or retaliation, but another impulse rises. Quiet boldness shaped by morning trust. You speak truth seasoned with gentleness, refusing sarcasm's lure. Courage, you discover, is less about volume and more about steady tone. Firmness wrapped in calm often dismantles confrontation quicker than raised voices ever could. Energy dips around lunch, but purpose fuels persistence. You pause to breathe, welcoming oxygen to brain and spirit alike, and recall the promise that empowerment does not depend on constant hustle. Instead, you draw on resources gifted at sunrise: perspective, patience, humor, a quick walk, a stretch, a silent prayer. It takes only minutes to reset. Reconnected, you tackle complex tasks with renewed clarity, watching obstacles shrink as solutions surface like fish breaking water. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Psalm Joshua 1:9. Ancient marching orders still echo, reminding you that companionship with God converts ordinary noon hours into arenas for fearless obedience. That companionship shapes how you steward influence. Midday eyes observe your reactions, the intern unsure of their future, the sibling weighing a risky choice, the neighbor nursing quiet grief. Your composure becomes a lighthouse, signaling safety without a sermon. Sometimes courage means initiating a brief, honest check. In other times, it means offering silence that honors another's processing. Either way, your presence testifies that strength can be tender. Projects crest in complexity during these hours. Yet instead of dreading the uphill grind, you lean into collaborative momentum. You invite diverse input, valuing voices that differ from yours, aware that collective wisdom eclipses singular insight. Risk, once a word thick with danger, now spells adventure, because failure cannot erase identity sealed beneath everlasting wings. Even if an attempt falls short, lessons harvested fertilize future growth. Heat eventually gives way to late, day slanting light, but before it fades, you savor a brief moment of reflection. Compare your current resilience to earlier seasons when noon glare felt punishing. Growth appears in subtle metrics, fewer reactive words, quicker apologies, deeper joy that refuses to evaporate under stress. These gains are trophies hung not on office walls, but within your spirit, evidence that abiding courage outlasts fickle circumstance. As shadows lengthen, gratitude rises. You thank the one who companioned you through intense glare and crowded agendas. Releasing any residue of tension, you prepare to step into quieter evening rhythms. Yet the lesson remains: midday may return tomorrow, burdens and all, but so will the courage woven into your being. Portable, renewable, unbreakable. Evening drapes soft violet across the sky, and the pace of the world finally loosens its grip. Street lamps blink on like quiet sentinels, yet you dwell beneath a shelter far older than any city light. All that midday demanded now feels distant, as though the hours themselves exhale. You linger in this twilight hush, recognizing that the same wings guarding dawn now fold gently around you, drawing you close with the tenderness of a lullaby. Every muscle unwinds, each thought slows to a graceful glide, released from urgency. You catalogue the day's footprints, tasks finished, surprises weathered, kindness offered, and surrender any fragment still unresolved. Rest is not a reward for perfection, it is a gift for the trusting. Beneath the shadow that has guided every step, you lay down expectations like stones beside a riverbank, letting steady current carry them. The hush grows thicker, almost audible, inviting you to curl inside its safety the way a child nestles into familiar arms. Remember the ancient promise, under his feathers you find refuge. That assurance proves truth while shadows lengthen, because it reveals a love undiminished by darkness. Night creatures stir, thrumming a rhythm older than fear. Owls whistle, crickets pulse, and moonlight spills across leaves, brushing silver over green. You watch this nocturnal symphony and realize that creation trusts effortlessly. Petals close, birds settle, tides obey, all confident in cycles ordained long before your heartbeat began. Their example coaches your soul. You can cease striving without risking neglect. The one who charts constellations keeps vigil, so you may sleep untroubled. Regret attempts one last whisper, replaying moments you might have spoken differently, chosen better, worked harder. Instead of entertaining that haunting voice, you escort it beneath the wingspan that shields memory as surely as present tense. There, failures dissolve into lessons and shame evaporates like morning mist. Forgiven, you stretch into new mercy that will greet sunrise. Absolved, you recognize growth hidden, even in missteps. Gratitude rises, quiet yet potent, sealing the day with thanksgiving rather than critique. Before turning off the final lamp, you breathe a prayer woven of trust. May tomorrow unfold by the same guidance. May courage bloom again at noon. May love frame every action. The ceiling above you feels thin as tissue, as though heaven leans low to listen. In that intimacy, anxiety loses its vocabulary. Your pulse slows, matching the relaxed cadence of wings overhead. You sense that rest itself is worship, an embodied confession that God remains sovereign when your eyes close. As eyelids grow heavy, you picture dawn already forming beyond the horizon, light preparing to spill over edges of unseen hills. Confidence settles. You will awaken still covered, still guided, still beloved. Night may stretch long, yet nothing can dislodge you from refuge. With that certainty, you drift into sacred slumber, trusting the keeper of stars to complete what daylight began. Breathe slowly and recall the arc of this day. Covered at dawn, sheltered in storm, steady in trust, guided through turns, courageous at noon, and now resting beneath changeless wings. Let gratitude settle over your memories like dew, each droplet reflecting mercy. Release unfinished lists. They cannot follow you past this threshold of peace. Inhale promise, exhale control. Your heartbeat is the metronome of grace. measuring moments already redeemed. Nothing is lost, everything is held. Allow silence to cradle you, letting sacred stillness whisper the final benediction.